Globally, the renewable energy sector is growing exponentially. This is having huge economic impacts, with several countries adopting the technology to provide clean and reliable energy for their residents. Because of these potential economic benefits, governments across the world are using a unique economic policy tool called the Local Content Requirement (LCRs) to ensure that indigenous businesses benefit from the boom in the renewable energy sector. Analysts have argued that the implementation of LCRs in Nigeria would be instrumental to the protection of local industries from unfair foreign competition, create more local jobs, and most importantly, facilitate the transfer of technology to indigenous renewable energy operators. Local content requirements are already being implemented in countries like China, India, and South Africa to encourage the growth of renewable energy technologies. Brazil, for example, has a local content requirement which states that 60% of all wind energy installations be handled by local operators. This was implemented alongside subsidized loans and was open to foreign companies in order to encourage them to build local factories in the country. Meanwhile, in China and Spain, the LCR percentage for wind energy installation is set at a whopping 70%. Countries that have implemented the local content requirements in the renewable energy sector have experienced a significant increase in installations. The local content requirement is not a novel policy concept to Nigeria. This policy has been operational in the oil and gas sector from as early as 1971 by the defunct Nigerian National Oil Corporation (NNOC), a forebearer to the current Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC). At the time, local content requirements were non-binding until 2010, when the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act was first introduced and passed into law. The law created a binding legal framework for the application, management, and enforcement of LCRs in the Nigerian oil and gas industry. It provided for the establishment of the National Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Board located in Bayelsa State, which supported the local industry to develop its capacity and prioritize local talent. Soon after, over $700 million worth of contracts were awarded to Nigerian contractors. Over the years, the impact of LCRs in the oil sector has been more pronounced, with more employment opportunities for Nigerians and deliberate attempts to transfer knowledge and technical know-how to local operators. This is the kind of impact that is expected in the Nigerian renewable energy space if local content requirement policies are introduced to it. In 2014, the Nigerian Electrification Regulatory Commission (NERC) started implementing a policy on national content development for the power sector in order to promote the deliberate utilization of local capacity in the Nigeria electrification supply industry (NESI). The primary aim of the policy was to involve more Nigerians in the sector while building the capacity of local companies. The policy provided the legal and operational framework for the development of local content in the electricity supply industry. Unfortunately, these regulations did not gain traction in the industry and were not adequately enforced by relevant agencies. There isn't much reliable evidence in the public domain showing that major renewable energy projects considered the local content requirement provided in the National Content Development Regulation for the power sector. Nevertheless, the Nigerian Local Content Development and Enforcement Bill, introduced this year, presents an opportunity for policymakers to deliver local content requirements in the renewable energy sector. The bill, which is yet to be signed into law, provides for the creation of a National Content Development Department in each government ministry and proposes the creation of a National Content Development and Enforcement Committee. It appears to consider all areas where local content requirements are needed in order to support local industry, including the renewable energy sector. The bill prioritizes the employment of Nigerians, mandates that first consideration be given to local companies, and provides incentives for transfer of technology where companies will be obligated to replace expatriates with local staff. There are other efforts being made by government executives to promote local content via executive policies to stimulate the regressing economy caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Economic Sustainability Committee, established by the President Muhammadu Buhari, aims to prevent business collapse, create jobs in key areas like agriculture and housing, undertake infrastructural investments in solar power and communications technologies, among other goals. The terms of reference of the committee include developing a clear economic sustainability plan in response to challenges posed by the pandemic and proposing a clear-cut strategy to keep existing jobs and create opportunities for new ones. Among the committee's 10 key projects is the installation of solar systems to create jobs and foster growth. The objective of this project is creating 250,000 jobs in the energy sector by 2023. The proposed solar home systems project in this plan will cover up to 5 million households, serving about 25 million individual Nigerians who are currently not connected to the national grid. To realize this, solar equipment manufacturers will need to set up production facilities in Nigeria, thereby offering job opportunities like installations, servicing, and payment collections. It is important to note that increased employment opportunities and technology transfer are fundamental for local content policies to effectively safeguard local industrial growth. For a successful delivery of local content benefits in the Nigerian renewable energy sector, policymakers need to develop a framework that fosters local participation by lowering bureaucratic barriers, increase access to information, support skills capacity building, and provide access to finance for potential local participants. A cue can be taken from the Oil and Gas Local Content Regulation of 2010 that established a fund to develop local capacity. Unfortunately, this is not the case with the new Nigerian Content Development and Enforcement Bill 2020. The renewable energy sector is growing at a fast rate, with more foreign interests looking to invest in it. But if there are no efficient policies to guarantee local content requirements, Nigerians may lose out in the coming economic boom brought about by renewable energy.